This video is brought to you by MoneyUpRecords.com. I made it very convenient for you guys to go check them out. The link is at the top line of the description box right now. MoneyUpRecords.com. Tell them your boy Old God sent you. Now to
I'm
our
very
regularly scheduled.
surprised and very grateful that they're coming. So I appreciate it.
For sure. So let's jump into one of the guests that you talked about, man. We got to ask you about this. I know you're probably your man and everything, but it's T.I.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we talked to Godfrey about it. Linnell talked about it briefly on our podcast as well about T.I. jumping into the comedy arena. We haven't heard Mr. Pierre what he thinks, being a comedic legend himself. What do you
Right.
think about T.I., jumping into the comedy space and then obviously addressing, the event that happened at the Barclays where he got
Right.
booed?
Right. Well, he learned that it ain't as easy as people think it is. We make it look easy. We get up there and we up there for 35, 45 minutes, hour and a half. And, before you know it, the show over, you're like, man, that was cool. But you don't realize all the work that goes into it, the timing, working on timing of the jokes and so forth. Well, the brother, I have a problem with people wanting to get into comedy, but you got to work that muscle. And working that muscle, sometimes, most of us are smaller venues trying to get it done. It's not easy. It's not really wise to go in a big venue when you ain't prepared. And, obviously he's not prepared. He's not ready for the big stage. I applaud him for trying to take it, but at the same token, it's not a good look for him, if he's catching them L's on them big venues.
Let me ask you this, because a lot of people made, and especially in the comedian world, made a lot of noise about him getting the opportunities and being at such a low level in comedy. Now, we know what T.I.'s, the work he's put in hip hop. We know the work he's put in Hollywood. And he deserves everything he gets in those two genres because he's dope at both of them. But in the comedy world, he's relatively new. And for him to even do, when he was got into it with the young lady, to do a 30-minute set, to come in and do a 30-minute set, and then to be hosting the Barclays, in your opinion, is there kind of like a ranking or rite of passage that you got to go through to even kind of earn 30-minute sets and spots at the Barclays as a comedian?
Man, you talking 1920s and 30s and 40s, man. This is a new age, man. Wow. People want to see whoever do whatever. You feel what I'm saying? Nene Leakes was running around the country with girl comedians. She was hosting shows. She never did comedy before, and she was hosting shows with some other girls, and no one complained. It ain't it sounds good to say, hey, man, you pay your dues and work real hard, and you'll get where you want to get. We're in a real world now, man. It's a whole different thing, brother. If you're hot on social media, they'll throw you behind in anything. I say this, I don't know, the comics are complaining about him getting the spots and, big old situations. Well, remember, there was a time in the 80s that comedians were getting movie roles and movie and TV show parts. They weren't ready. They weren't trained actors when you threw their asses on a sitcom real quick to say a couple of funny jokes or in a scene. Remember, Chris Rock was in Beverly Hills Cop, and he was the guy parking attendant. He wasn't no actor, but he got the part to do that because he was a comedian. So now comedians are mad when someone else takes their job. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real now. I'm one of the realest ones you want to talk to. Hey, there is no order of something. It sounds nice to do that. You work real hard. You put your time in, and you're going to get it. No, homie. It don't work like that all the time. Sometimes it's just who's hot. They put them in there. Now, if you embarrass yourself by you not being ready for it, that's on you too. Okay. But I understand the game, okay? Look at all these social media comedians who are get to have a chance to be on concert shows and stuff because they got 1 million followers, but they ain't got no act. Hey, man, where was the complaints for that? Or if there was complaints, welcome to it. What do you need to do as an individual to get yourself in a position where you are not envying them other people by saying, hey, now I'm selling out so-and-so. And if it's social media and you're an old head and you don't do social media, hey, what are you talking about? This is the new lick right here. Social media. You have your own control of your own career. So what you gonna do with it? So that's how I feel.
So you watched T.I. set, I'm pretty sure. A couple of them, one of them. Is he funny to you? You think he has what it takes to be a comedian at a high level?
Yes, he has a comedic muscle. It just has to be worked.
Is he funny to you?
Yeah. Now remember, there's like love. There's different loves. You can love your dog one way. You can love your daughter one way. You can love your wife another way. Gotcha. They all love. It's different levels of love. So funny, there's different levels of funny. Is he hilarious? Is he ready for the big time? No. But does he have a muscle that says he's funny? Sure. I see it in him.
I agree.
Every comedian you see that is doing big shit had a little muscle like him when it first started out. Majority, you know what I'm saying? You can get up on stage and be a little funny, have a little personality. Now, if it stops right there, then that's as small as his muscle is going to be, then there it is. But if his muscle can expand to be funnier, yeah. But he has a funny muscle in him.
Do you think that he could survive another, like if he were to go on stage again and get booed, do you think that is over for him, or do you think that's just a part of the whole experience of being a comedian? Because you get it once, but then again now, it might be over for T.I. Yes or no?
No. Oh, well, hold on. I can't answer that because I'm not T.I. I don't know his what he can handle. He can maybe handle getting booed 4 or 5 more times before he says no. Some people say, hell no, one more of them right there. That's enough for me. I don't know what level he, what he can tolerate. Myself, well, I ain't never got booed, so I don't know. But I'm thinking, I mean, well, I'm too far in the game, so I don't know. I have to tell you, yeah. So I don't know his muscle. You know what I'm saying? I don't know his tolerance level. I mean,
you're still out here actively doing shows. You're still out here in the comedy world. How has it changed? How has it evolved? Especially with this new age, we've seen the situation with Will and Chris Rock, and then another situation, and now T.I.'s situation, and now comedy is definitely in the forefront of a lot of social media and a lot of mainstream where it wasn't so much, maybe whatever the case may be. So how's it changed? Do you feel like it's changed throughout? Talk about how it's changed throughout time, and has it changed recently with all the events that went on?
That's an interesting question. How is comedy? Mediocre has been accepted more. I would say that's changed. You know what I'm saying? Mediocre comedy has been accepted more. People are more worried about the personality on stage than the act. So if you goofy and crazy and funny, we like you on your skits or whatever the case may be in a movie, whatever, we will give you the pass, their personality. On a reality show, But back when I came through, you had to really, be funny to really be on the top echelon. You know what I'm saying? That's why Def Jam hit so hard, because by the time you first started seeing Def Jam, the first 2 years, there were comics who had been doing comedy for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Bernie Mac had been doing comedy for 17 years. I think Steve Harvey, 15 years when you see him. Even my little fledgling career, I was around for about 6 years by the time you saw me. Nowadays, it's 6 months. You know what I'm saying? By the time you get the spotlight, get to be shown somewhere. So you're not going to get the better comedy. It's just not. That's not how it works. The chances maybe somebody might slip through that's a genius after 6 months of doing comedy, maybe, but that's not what you're normally going to get. And people have to accept it. They are accepting it because they're buying into the personality of the the comedian, opposed to the comedy. So I'm a lyricist. As, when I do my jokes, I'm like Nas, I'm like Rakim. I want the lyric. I want like what's his name out of I hate to say him. What's his name out of LA? What's his name? The rapper.
Not KRS-One, not KRS-One from New York.
No, out of LA. Won a Grammy. Why can't we both can't think of it right now?
Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah, Kendrick. I'm Kendrick Lamar. Some of the people nowadays, they just want somebody who's fluffy and hey, baby, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my. I'm like, okay, no problem. If that's the comic you want, then go see it. But if you want pure comedy and punchlines and callbacks and storylines, then come mess with me or people like me.
Let me ask you this, and not to keep beating up on T.I. because this ain't really got nothing to do with him. But in that same conversation, then he kind of fall in that level of the A-Bays when it comes to comedy, because they're liking it based off his personality, and the YouTube, or not the YouTube, the Instagram comedians and stuff like that. Don't they fall in the same?
Well, no. I would say the A-Bays, whatever, they've been doing rapping for a while. That's their style.
Okay, yeah.
Some of these rappers, been rapping for 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Lil Baby or The Baby. I'm quite sure they've been rapping for 4 or 5 years. You feel what I'm saying? This ain't somebody who's rapping last week, and just started rapping and got a hit song, or put themselves out there. So T.I. hasn't been doing it for 5 years, and this is what it is. You feel me? He's very, very new at this.
Right.
You're talking new. You're talking about 6 months new kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? A couple months new. So I think it's different than a rapper who ain't rapping about nothing, because that's what they've been rapping about, nothing. It's just been hit. It's a hit now, to me.
Yeah, I think honestly, T.I., I think he's kind of determined to make it with this whole thing. You know what I mean? In my opinion, but he's gonna definitely have to keep going through his lump.